Thank you, thank you. You must know that applause doesn't carry GST. You can do it liberally. Yeah, everybody, please. Yeah, don't do this, yeah. I mean, everyone puts in so much effort, and then you guys are sitting at the end of the day not doing that. I'm going to call Mohit Bijlani, co-founder, Team Innovation, to join us on stage. Anmol Kukreja, who was just here showing you his skill with Skillbox. Kumar Razdan, President Live Experiences, Jet Synthesis. Manoj Agarwal, CEO, Eva Live, and Priyank Mahajan, co-founder for Trailblaze Productions. They are all here. And of course, Nikhil Chinappa, curator for Submerge. But you know, this panel is all about from FOMO to ROI. I actually want to ask the audience first. How many of you are running your own IPs? Just raise your hand. Okay, raise. Okay, fine. I can see that. And how many of you are making money? Making money? One. One and a, he used to making, I know. He's making lots. Three. Three people. Four people making. My joke was actually going to be that amongst the panel on stage, I believe the only person making money is Nikhil Chinappa. He gets paid though. Really, I'm just...
The only thing that we made a decent amount of money on was the real Van Gogh immersive exhibition that we created. Because over there, I think we really do have potential. But then, in order to make money in the IP business, I think rather than doing what you want to do, I think you need to do what needs to be done. There's a big difference in that. I think somebody earlier on spoke about what metrics did he call it? Ego metrics.
metrics, yeah.
Ego. Yeah. If you put that aside and you just look at things practically, it's not that difficult to make money in a country like India where there's such a huge explosion of interest in all kinds of different events, all kinds of different IPs, all kinds of different activities, and not just in the music space, not just in the concert space. But you really do need to do what needs to be done rather than what you want to do for the boosting of your own ego.
No, absolutely. I think, you know, the most innovative thing I saw, the most innovative way of making money from an IP that I saw recently was Instagram handles that will tag you even if you were not present at the concert. Instagram handle will tag you if you're not present at the concert.
Digital Snan at Mahakumbh, I thought was genius.
You can do digital Snan at Mahakumbh.
Was there 18% GST on that? No.
So, you know, so people are doing, I mean, India is the land of jugaad. We find 330 ways of making money. I'm going to actually come around to everyone else and you know, just ask, Anmol, because you are at a platform level, you're seeing transactions. I want to ask you, when people are coming to Skillbox, see, number one, the reason for Skillbox obviously is that there was one giant player, now there are two giant players, and there is two giant players, and there's David and Goliath, hopefully. Tell me, what are you seeing? Are you seeing people transacting enough? What's happening?
I mean, definitely after COVID especially, we saw that surge wherein everybody wanted to buy tickets and go out for experiences and all of that. And there has been definitely a surge for us also in terms of ticket sales, but you are very right when you say that a lot of people are losing money. In fact, in a few of our IPs, we are losing money right now, but we are doing it with the intent to build like a long-term format for it, right? So, example, K-Wave is one of the IP which is exactly based around FOMO, and this is India's first K-pop IP that we created. And like there is definitely a lot of FOMO, like kids definitely want to buy a lot of tickets, right? But the market is still very small in terms of what
K-Town you're talking about.
This is K-Wave as a festival.
Okay. Yeah.
So we brought in Suho last year, and we brought in Hulin last year, and that was the intent for us that we'll build like a long-term IP, and the intent is like it's a 5-year project for us. And I think for most of the people it's like that they're having a vision to build like a long-term IP when they curate or create any IP. But in terms of concerts, I definitely feel like a lot of players are making money. Mohit is there, he's making a lot of money.
Mohit, don't be shy, come on. Tell us the truth. Take the mic.
So I personally feel like the industry's been very lucky. That's what I personally feel, because right after COVID, we were all thinking that this is like a, you know, revenge shopping kind of a situation where people didn't go out for these so many 2 years or whatever time. And basis on that, they're going aggressive, spending in concerts, going out, experiences. But I think that never stopped. I think like right now, the live industry in terms of ticketing is in the best I have ever seen personally. Like, if you go to see, the biggest of the biggest shows have taken place in the last 1 year or so. Numbers have multiplied. Like, artists, I think I call it the artist era. First, according to me, 1st October 2024 was the launch of the artist era. I've seen artists who were charging, say, 10 rupees for a show are suddenly not even at 20, they're at 90 rupees, like 9x, 10x.
Which artist are you
pricing.
getting at 10 rupees firstly?
That was just an example. What I
Ah.
mean to say is, yeah.
Let's make it into 10 lakhs
Yeah. So,
and start from there.
and not only that, like, I think, especially after the movie scenario going a little south, people have really shown a lot of appreciation and interest towards live events. Like, I personally feel the numbers have really scaled up. In Indian origin artists, we've seen a gathering of 30,000 people, which was not the case before. Like, in terms of numbers, they're not anywhere smaller to what an international artist would sell. In big international headliner would sell actually in their ticketing sales. And brands are also supporting. I think I also feel government is getting better for this. Everybody is kind of favoring this industry, especially after the Prime Minister spoke himself right after the Coldplay concert, that he told all the multinational companies should really look at investing in this industry. I think that is a very, very great movement and a start for us in this industry. International artists who used to think that India is not a right market for me right now, like maybe 2 years back, 3 years back, are all very happy and wanting to come to India not only for a single show but multiple shows. So all of this change has really come in, and I think the industry is just getting better and better, and I'm really excited to look forward to it.
No, but that's fantastic. I'm going to go to two people who are in the concert business. One was in the concert business, will be back in it from November again, which is Kumar, who's here. Kumar used to earlier be at Nesco. We were all at his mercy. But at one point in time, let me tell you, before that I must tell you, for a long time, he was the one making all those calls. I cannot tell you how proactive he was. He would call us saying, "Spoken bhi le aao, ye bhi le aao, jo lana le aao, uska bhai le aao, behan le aao, kisi ko le aao, par le aao." He was absolutely exceptional, because I think you need that kind of proactiveness. Honestly, I'll tell you, and I'm going to be, I'm sorry, I wanted these 2 days to be very honest. Nesco हमारे लिए shed होती थी यार. I said Nesco. I know there's a little. The only thing missing in such a beautifully expensive show is there are no monitors. So that's in the other room. But anyways, sorry, I'm in a zone. But I wanted to ask you, Nesco at one point in time, trust me, used to be for us, yaar, yahan nahi karte hain, too far, audience doesn't come. But now there are audiences that have been built. There are people saying, curate a show that is going to have an audience that is going to come from Thane and that side and will actually come there. You built Dandiya there, which was fantastic, right? What this relationship between a location and IP and getting the right pricing, what did you do? First, tell us about what you did at Nesco.
So while this is now Bala's baby,
I know, but
but I don't want to steal his thunder, but I'll try to keep it short. So I think one is very clear when I moved to Nesco, being on the other side from a ticketing point to a producer promoter, and we were generally, when I was at BMS, we were looking at larger venues and we were always found it difficult.
BMS
so,
as well, right?
So one thing we realized is that there was a pain point, and when this opportunity came to me, said that can we do something with this place? We're dead after 6, well, we have a corporate park and all that. So I think I looked at it and said that let's look at data, which essentially I'd done a lot of my years at BMS, and the following, this is what I looked at following, the youth population that lives between Andheri and Borivali, the real estate prices that have risen in last 10 years in that area. Now, if you're buying an apartment for 10, 12 crores and living in Oberoi Gardens, are you telling me that audience is not going to go to a concert if it's a world-class event with ease of parking, food, everything right next to it, and they will want to go to Bandra and walk in muck? No. So, triangulation of 2 or 3 things is what we led to. It said, this is the audience that will work. And that's when I reached out to you, or I reached out to Team Innovation. One of the first guys who did their Holi with us. So some of you guys trusted me with your brand and said, yaar, kar lenge. And rest is history. I think, I don't believe that today. I am very firm that there is a guy living, sorry, I can give Bombay example, not Delhi, in Dombivli, who's saying, I have 2,000 rupees in my pocket and I want to have a great experience and I don't want an Indian artist to see that. As long as you can deliver that content in that price, and in the most easiest manner, whether it's buying the ticket or buying the alcohol, enough lose at the venue, they will keep on coming. It's all about building the culture, and it's not about great artists that can get once. If you want to build the culture, you have to keep on repeating and bettering it every day. So I think I did that simple thing there. Nothing else.
I think those are some very important points to take back. It's not just the artist. It is about providing ease of access. It's about figuring out the data, making sure these facilities are there. I mean, trust me, I still use Geo Garden because the toilets are very well maintained. And I have an audience that asks for that very specifically. And if you see, otherwise people post on social and in 2 minutes you're dead. Manoj, I'm going to come to you.
Just one thing I want to add very quickly. One more thing I also observe is a lot of people have this misconception that if I'm doing South Bombay, I'm going to get more customers. South Bombay customer today, which is compared to South Delhi, this thing is very difficult to please versus somebody who's living in a suburb. Because that guy has a 2,000 and he wants a best value versus a guy who can pay a 2 lakh rupees for the same experience. So I think it's also about that customer that matters. That is very important.
Redefining your audience is equally important. Don't just go for the premium person because the premium person has premium access. A person who may not have that much access can do so much more. I'm just going to come to Manish for a second.
Just before that, I think one thing I want to mention is while working with any venue, it's very important the ease of working with that particular venue. And when obviously Kumar was there, it was very easy for promoters like us to do gigs at Nesco. And that's the reason also why Nesco is Nesco today.
Kumar is going to get Lifetime Achievement Award by the end of this. We're going to go to Manoj quickly.
First Hanuman kind.
Yeah. Manoj, you tell me, you guys have been actually, suddenly you came in from behind and suddenly EVA Live is just live. Right? If DC says, then by this, it might, God forbid, wo thoda zyada kar jayega, so you'll have to control some things. Extra live ho jayega. But I wanted to ask you that, you know, when you put together something like a Bryan Adams, right? Bryan Adams is our generation. First row, 3-4 people. And yeah, I mean, how many people went to Bryan Adams? Yeah, raise your hands. Achha, lots from this side. You're telling your age. It's okay. I'm okay with it. So is other people. But, you know, what makes the decision? How do you decide there is FOMO? There's a bid happening. DC travels from Jaipur, takes a flight, goes to Dubai, makes one mad bid, comes to you and says, "Bech do." So that's the truth, by the way. Truth ये है. सच्चाई आप लोगों को पता बताते रहूं ये.
Roshan, DC takes flights that way anyway.
हाँ, always.
Yeah. The unfortunate part is he does buy something and come back. See, it's very clear. Shayad Anmol mentioned this, that, and I mentioned it in my earlier thing also, that after COVID, the out-of-home entertainment options have gone down. All right, and this is across age group. Okay. Now, where is live fitting in? Live fits in there. All right. Now, we feel, and we've spent most of our time doing Sunburn and Supersonic, and the audience we catered to was 15 to 25. Okay. And that is what the live industry was built on. Look at this audience, which is 15 to 30, and Mohit will back me there, is that this is what brands are chasing. This is what people are buying tickets for. So instead of going to a club night, that kid will go for a live concert. He'll save that money because at least he goes out twice a month, you know. What is changing now is that the demographics are changing in terms of who want to experience live. Okay, that means there is a 15 to 25, there's a 25 to 40, and there's a 45 plus audience, which is ready to experience live. So you might call it FOMO, but it is also a habit they want to build now, because that is one experience and connection they're building and community they're building. So when you spoke about Bryan Adams, it was a 6th store in India. Okay, I mean, one more tour and he'll get Aadhaar card. But
I love that.
Yeah, but
Very good.
Yeah, but the fact is, it was a 6th store that also told us one thing, is that he has an audience. Okay, so that was one big part of
आधे मर चुके लेकिन.
Second, you said Nesco. I mean, we did Bryan Adams in Nesco.
It was very well done, honestly.
Yeah, and we had people from South Bombay. Okay, now that I can call FOMO, and that what artists pulled. All right, but as he said, we need to work on scale. We have enough numbers available now in terms of ticket pricing, who's buying what. Okay, and I will just take some time on the IP bit. You know, in terms of there is an ROI in IP. The only thing with IPs is that IPs are driven more by passion than mind, you know. IP is a concept that has to be built keeping 5 years in mind. Okay, you cannot build an IP or a scale on the first year. Okay, you need to be mindful of that fact is that yes, I'm creating this for this community, this IP. Martin mentioned that. Vivek mentioned that in terms of when they launched the first half marathon, right? They didn't go to get 50,000 people, right?
But see, the reason I'm going to bring you back, I'm trying to bring you back to the whole thing of saying, because the topic says FOMO to ROI. And so I'm saying, who discovers that passion? Brian Adams is not DC's passion.
Can I just weigh in on this a little bit? I think what many of us are not doing is understanding what causes FOMO. FOMO has become that thing
That's
that,
what I want to know. So, Manoj, I'm just going to
is
defer
something that
to.
a lot of people in agencies will use, and you'll talk about hashtag, but nobody really understands why is there FOMO. Okay, now if you look at Coldplay, great example. Coldplay was in Asia about a year ago. They played in Bangkok. I think they played 6 shows. They played Singapore. There was none of the hysteria that happened when Coldplay played in India.
Correct.
Okay? There was hysteria. I'm not going to go out there and say, why was there hysteria? I'll even go out and say, I tried to get tickets for Abu Dhabi. If they'd released Abu Dhabi tickets first, I probably would have got it. But after the hysteria of India, it was impossible to get tickets for them anywhere in Asia. Okay? What causes it? I'll quickly touch upon IP as well. One of the reasons why IPs in India don't really propagate or grow very well is because in India, we don't know how to collaborate. In order for an IP to work successfully, you have to have different people working together. And in India, there is this sense of, मेरे को सब चाहिए. मैं कभी ना कभी, कहीं ना कहीं, इससे सब छीन लूँगा. Okay, I won't get into detail. All the IPs that have worked are almost family-run businesses, right? Whether it's the marathon, whether it's the speed festival or whatever it is, they're pretty much family-run, which is why they succeed because they're very small. Once you need to start collaborating with people in India, unfortunately, our people do not know how to collaborate. They do not know how to grow together. Okay, I'll come back to FOMO. One of the things I think that we're missing dramatically over here is the influence that Instagram has had on creating FOMO. It's very easy to say Instagram equals FOMO. Everybody wants that selfie, that little story. But the amount of commerce that Instagram is pushing in many different ways is something that really needs to be studied in great depth. And Instagram, in my opinion, was the reason Coldplay created the FOMO that they did in India. And they didn't do it a year ago when they were playing in the region, 4-hour flight away. A lot of my friends went to Bangkok, had a great experience. Many of them wanted to go watch the show again. They couldn't because they couldn't get tickets. And I think that creating that understanding of what's going on.
Guys at the back, can you guys stop doing private conference part 2 there? DC is starting it, Vinod Janardhan, I know. Vinod Janardhan is leading it. Vinod, please, control.
Trying to study and understand what the reasons are, I think, are critically important because many of us are from a generation where our experience, our education, and our net worth gives us a sense of, I know better, whereas I truly believe that the best ideas are with the 17-year-olds. And the thing is, as Indians, we don't want to listen to the 17-year-old because you're the bacha hai. I own a company with 2,000 employees, so therefore I know better, which is very rarely the case. You get so caught up in your Excel sheets that ideas and innovation and thinking out of the box have just, they've left. That train has boarded, many, many years ago. So if you guys are working on IPs and building IPs, firstly, have young people in your team. It's very important. And try and understand the reasons why things happen rather than reacting to things happening around you.
No, I think that's very cool. Priyanka, I'm going to come to you for one important reason. Priyanka actually gave me an excellent example of how there was an F&B experience which fulfilled FOMO. Tell me about that. It's absolutely a brilliant example.
Yeah, for us at Trailbase, there are a few things we saw over the season which really turned things around from an ROI perspective. When we were working for Zomato at the Feeding India concert, I think the team at Zomato District were able to harness their dining partnerships, and they got the lounge to be done by Bastion, right? So automatically the delta that you have for the upsell on the VIP hospitality package was a lot more. I think taking off Nikhil's point, right? There are certain sections earlier. IPs were a very restricted space. There was a need for as the IP owner to protect everything. Here now we can let brands who have demonstrated in the past own smaller experiences within festivals. Some F&B experiences can be owned where we can get loyalties, tap on loyalties without having to pay royalties, right? So it becomes that much easier to tap into that extra revenue. Also another example at the AP Dinner Tour, what we were able to create was a 360 experience for everybody. So automatically the number of people closer to stage were much more. So, the overall house value was much higher. So certain, experiences like this, certain ways of doing things are actually returning little more money than what used to be the case.
But Priyank, are you involved in this decision making of how it will be planned, how the setup will be, or doesn't that? I mean, in most international shows, it's a global mandate, so you can maybe try to do something with the F&B. But at least in the Indian bits, you can look at this production.
Yeah, so
bits.
like for example, with the promoters at White Fox, we actually kind of germinated the entire concept. We finalized the venues basis how we wanted the flow of the audience to be. So yeah, it's a lot easier with Indian artists, but wherever you don't have much control over the stage, you can come towards the concourse and try to let brands or certain partners own certain bits to get more money in, I believe.
Okay, I'm going to quickly go around just asking you, what else do you think people have FOMO about? Just a very quick round. I'm just going to start saying, what do people have FOMO about that you think people are missing out on at the moment?
So basically, like, just to hit the ticketing FOMO part a little, what I personally feel like, a personal case study we did for one of our tour. We spent about, say, for example, 1 lakh rupees on announcing the tour in terms of marketing and campaign. The minute my show got sold out, I spent 5 lakh rupees on promoting that the show got sold out. I announced a second show the same minute and that got sold out again. So that is FOMO, right? Like, people
That's
thought...
a very good, please give a big round of applause. I think that's fantastic. 5 lakhs on saying big yeah.
Yeah, so it's
Excellent.
like both the ticketing platforms obviously right now also have a line system. Like, come on, man, you're going online, 100,000 people ahead of me. You're sharing that on your social. Like, people, like, I'm sitting in a room, I'm like, am I the only one who's not educated that I'm not in that line? That is also FOMO, right? Like, you want to be there, you want to be like, what do 100,000 people want to buy?
Brilliant.
I want to be in that line too.
Brilliant. I think it's a fantastic way of creating FOMO also that you just
Yeah.
told many of us. I think we can also just say sold out.
No, but my shows were actually...
This is
I
where
know your shows were sold out.
this is where Instagram really comes in. You're able to
Exactly.
you're able to generate that excitement
Yeah.
through that platform. But of course,
So great way of creating FOMO, as you said. Shall I move on? Yeah.
Yeah, so we are not very great in terms of creating FOMO. We'll be very honest about that. But we are learning from the likes of Team Innovation and now Eva Live also. Enrique is already there, right?
No, but like what you showed us with Hanuman Kind, I mean,
Yeah.
you did create. See, FOMO is also about creating an experience which people go and share, saying it was so good. Next time, I'm going to come to them. I'm going to go to them only.
Right. So with the experiences, absolutely you can build certain amount of FOMO. But I think, as Nikhil was saying, Instagram works charm when it comes to like building and creating FOMO, which is, and different pages now, there are different pages and PR agencies which are doing this, like before announcing the shows, like there are PR agencies which are there who can create all of that stuff. So, I mean, this is a very relevant thing right now to do, even for like tours which are in the niche segment that we do.
Does any of you feel that influencers add anything to? Yeah, I want to hear lots of clicks from people. I just want to hear this from everyone on stage. Because I see brands bring in influencers. They're roaming around with. They're more interested in what they're dressed in than what their concert is. Does it add anything?
To a certain extent, but I think eventually it is the user-generated content. It is the guy who clicked that photo or just put it on his Insta and
The
said,
genuine one. Yeah.
genuine ones, because people have kind of moved on with it and saying,
Sure.
this
So it
is
was just
this is
because
what
of
I
what
want.
he was
Yeah.
saying. I wanted to extend that.
So I want to say one thing here now. FOMO is a wave now. Okay, India is a large country. All right, we have enough people. All right, there are 10,000 people who went to one concert. Okay, they got the tickets as FOMO, but there were 90,000 who did not go for that concert. We've got to utilize that. You've got to utilize that. It's not just the artists.
मतलब ब्रांड आइटम्स को 2 महीने के लिए यहीं पे रख लो, कभी अब भाई कल भी कर दो, परसों भी कर दो, करते जाओ.
वो होगा because people, there are enough people who are left out. You know.
I agree.
Yeah.
No, I
So
understand where you're coming from.
so I think creating FOMO is a wider game, and influencers is an abused term now. But what type of influencers, right? So are we influencing through the videos of the first few legs of the tour? So the tour later on is getting more momentum. That we have seen in the past, like Jazzy B and Honey Singh turned up at the AP Launch show in Delhi. That was everywhere. That impacted the sales for Chandigarh.
I think when Honey Singh sold out, even the promoter was shocked. No, because when it happened, I know because everybody at the point was, ye hua kya? But we sometimes don't realize that there is an inherent FOMO that we believe, oh, it doesn't exist.
No, that's what I said. It's a wave. You know, it's a wave now. It's.
But Manoj,
Diljit happened.
if you say that,
Yeah.
that'll make many people sit here and say, I'll hire anyone, it'll happen.
No, it doesn't work that way. You know,
Yeah. So Nikhil's shaking his head very vigorously, so I'm going to come to him.
I think influencers play a role. They definitely do. But using them effectively is what is at the crux of the matter. It's kind of like saying, what kind of input does turning on the gas have in making a cup of tea? Is it really important? And yes, you could say you can use a kettle, you can use other ways of heating your water. But influencers definitely do play a role. How you use them and what influences you use matters. I mean, you have sometimes you know on Instagram you'll have a girl saying, "Hello friends, I really like techno, and you should come to this techno event because," and you know that this is not working. But you see other people posting about an event, and you've got to try and understand what does this influencer represent. And I'll tell you why that's important. Over the years, all of us in the space of doing events have always spoken about the experience matters. The experience matters. More of experience. It's all about the experience. Fans want to pay for the experience, you know. And we've used these lines in board meetings and sponsorship pitches for the longest time. But for the past, I would say 5 to 8 years, we're still catching up a bit. Experience has had to make way for something called community, culture and community. People don't just want to be on the main stage at Tomorrowland. They want to be with their tribe. They want to be with their people. The sneakerheads want to be with the sneakerheads. The hip-hop crew wants to be with the hip-hop crew. Different people who wear graphic T-shirts want to be with the graphic T-shirts crew, right? So culture and community is really, really important when you're building anything in the entertainment space or the IP space or anything like that. Guys who ride bikes together, guys who love burgers together, guys who love drinking different types of beer. These are all communities. And identifying these communities and learning how to speak to them, not just target them, is very important in building the FOMO for that community or that tribe.
That's absolutely fantastic. I think defining what kind of influencer, building it early. I love this point about, you know, announcing the show, spending a little bit on the marketing, but then spending more on saying, hey, it's sold out, the wave that Manoj is talking of. Anything that you feel we missed from the FOMO to ROI, we've got 3 minutes left, and we've got a master of FOMO creation sitting right in front, Mr. Sabas Joseph. Please give him a huge round of applause. Abu Dhabi, I heard, was so upset after the second IFA going from them. They were like, this is the man to blame. Right? So like they got one, they got two, not one. It's absolutely incredible. Anything else you feel? Because the Dua Lipa thing that when you mentioned saying Bastian lifted this or whatever, do you think this thing of selling, I know that there's Red Stub which has started now by Book My Show. It's a almost private members club, very early access, very few people know of it, but it's there, it exists. And I know that in a certain circle, it's already started creating this, tumhe mila, mujhe nahi mila, right? Is that something that you think will happen? What are 1 or 2 other signals? You've just got 3 minutes left, so I want to just quickly go around saying any other ways of creating FOMO for ROI? We'll go with you.
So I think one thing is very interesting to know is also Nikhil's word or culture, and eventually it's a word culture. For many, many reasons, why hasn't IPs made money is because it was 1 year, 2 year, and then we don't know what's going to do 3rd year. Now people have a vision for 10 years and saying this is the culture. So from son to daughter, maybe son to father to son, father to daughter, that's how it is building. Classic example is the Guns N' Roses over the weekend. How many fathers and mothers inspire their children who don't listen to rock? My son doesn't listen to rock, he's 16. But he was so excited and FOMO'd, he went. So he did spend 12,000 from his own pocket money of months, went, bought a t-shirt for 1,000 rupees and a cap and attended the show and said, this is far better than attending a EDM. So I think it's also those things that matter. And saying now I realize why there are 70-year-old guy.
Yeah, it's almost ritualistic. Right. I saw it in Bryan Adams. I thought one of the best things was, I think the camera that is from stage on audience is also a great way of creating FOMO.
Yes.
Because when you put that child on your shoulder and the child takes off his t-shirt, I mean, I cannot get that visual out of my mind from Bryan
No,
Adams.
I would like to
Yes,
repeat
absolutely.
what Kumar is saying. I was in Bangalore, Bryan Adams, okay, and you had whole families out there with their kids, all right? I actually wanted to tell them, and I went out and told them, please get inside early. Because Bryan comes at 7:59, you're outside at 7:30, it'll be a chaos. You've got kids. There were families with 7 people, 8 people, 10 people, you know. Everybody came together. It was just not the 45-year-old. So That's the thing.
That's
That's, a culture.
fantastic. Fantastic. So, I mean, this building your tribe, going with your family, I think, I mean, there's so much for Skillbox to pick up from here. Maybe family tickets, doing this thing, getting people in groups, selling T-shirts plus food plus this plus. I mean, I really, I remember going to the Adele concert and there was VVIP experiences where you could get a car and they would pick you up and I mean, they would take a backstage. It just kept building layers.
So there's another thing, out of home I'm saying, movies used to be that occasion where families went out, together. All right? I think live is providing that. So it's not just the artist, it's an opportunity for the family to go. So
what a great point. The cinema has lost the opportunity of the family going. Now it's time for them to go to concerts. As long as GNR doesn't lose its voice, the rest is good. Any other last points anybody wants to make? Time's up, but I'm going to give you 1 minute if there's anything. Priyank, go ahead.
I think there's a recipe. You need to understand your audience, talk to them, and that's how you start creating this. It's not ever assured, but you should keep trying. That's where the proof of the pudding lies, right?
There's the principle of listen, learn, and engage. Okay, when you pass a certain age, you're not always going to be clued in. For example, if you want to participate in if you have a football product, let's say that, and you're a cricket fan, you don't immediately go there and say, "I love Ronaldo." People will pretty much laugh at you. Listen, learn, and engage are these three things that I think will work across many different fields, many different applications. Where you first listen to the community that you're trying to address. You learn what their style is, what their vibe is, what their language is. And only after you get that, do you then start to engage with them. If you start to do that and you do that across data points, if you do that across understanding your audience, if you do that across understanding your various communities, then making money on shows is not that difficult.
That's fantastic. Great way to wind this all up. I just want to tell you, everyone who's on stage has got so much experience. To try to get it out in 30 minutes is very, very difficult. But they're going to be here also tomorrow. Please spend time. Don't just go around trying to look for the next drink and whatever else is happening, because I know that also will happen over the next bits. But try and get hold of this. This is where you should be actually learning from. I always think that's important. The LLE model has been replaced by Nikhil Chinnappa by the LLP model, which is the listen, learn, and perform. Hopefully, he'll do that for us later. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Please give them a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Gentlemen, thank you, Roshan. Thank you so much. Let's get the gentlemen together for a lovely picture, please. And let's have a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, as we thank this absolutely stellar panel for keeping it not just so crisp, insightful, but entertaining as well. Thank you so much.